Vancha kalpa trubhischa, kripa sindhu evacha, patitanam pavanabhyo, vaishnavabhyo namo namaha. Om Gyantiramandasya Gyanjana Salakaya Chakshomilitam Yena Tashmai Shri Guru Namaha Trinada Pisunichna Tarora Pisaishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtini Sadahari Anya Balasta Sunyam Gyan Kamadhyana Vritam Anukalenya Krishna Shilanam Bhakti Uttama Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Yadvaita Gadata Shirvasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Adibol, Taruni, over to you. Taruni, Haribol.
Oh, Hare Krishna. I'm
Hare
sorry,
Krishna.
the sound's gone funny. I can't hear very well.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol.
Going to sing Gurudev Kripa Karake. It's page 360 in the small book. And I'm just going to post the words in the chat. So if you don't have the book, the words are there. Jai Shri Gurudeva ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. And Dandavats to all devotees. Gurudev Kripa Karake Mujhko apna lena. Gurudev Kripa Karake Mujhko apna lena. Mena sharana paraderi charana me jagadena. Mena sharana paraderi charana me jagadena. Charana Name Jagadena Charaname Jagadena Gurudev Kripa Kairake Mujhko apna lena. Karuna nidhi nama tera, karuna parasavatam, karuna nidhi nama tera, karuna parasavatam, soye Huye Bhagyanko Hey Nata Jagayotum Hey Nata Jagayotum Hey Nata Jagayotum Meri nava bamvara dole, use para la cadena. Meri nava bamvara dole, उसे परलका देना। गुरुदेव कृपा करके मुझको अपना लेना। गुरुदेव कृपा करके मुझको अपना लेना। तुम सुख के सागर हो, भक्ति के सहारे हो। तुम सुख के सागर हो, भक्ति के सहारे हो। मेरे मन में समाये हो, मुझे प्राणों से प्यारे हो। मेरे मन में समाये हो, मुझे प्राणों से प्यारे हो। मुझे प्राणों से प्यारे हो। मुझे प्राणों से प्यारे हो। नितमल जपन तेरी, मेरे दोष भुला देना। नितमल जपन तेरी, मेरे दोष भुला देना। गुरुदेव कृपा करके मुझको अपना लेना। गुरुदेव कृपा करके मुझको अपना लेना। मैं न संतों का सेवक हूँ, गुरु चरणों का दासी हूँ। मैं न संतों का सेवक हूँ, गुरु चरणों का दासी हूँ। नहीं नाथा भुलाना मुझे, इस जगह में न अकेली हो। नहीं नाथा भुलाना मुझे, इस जगह में न अकेली हो। इस जगह में न अकेली हो। इस जगह में न अकेली हो। तेरे द्वार का भिखारी हो, नहीं दिल से भुला देना। तेरे द्वार का भिखारी हो, नहीं दिल से भुला देना। गुरुदेव कृपा करके मुझको अपना लेना। गुरुदेव कृपा करके मुझको अपना लेना। जय गुरुदेवा जय, गुरुदेवा जय, गुरुदेवा जय, गुरुदेवा जय। पथ Patita Pavana Gurudeva Jaya. Patita Pavana Gurudeva. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Gaura Haribo, Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Jai Shri Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Shri Gurudeva ki Jai, Shri Prabhupada ki Jai, Shri Guru Parampara ki Jai.
Beautiful, Taruni. Do you want to do the Jadwani?
Oh, okay. Jai Shri Shri Guru Garanga Gandhavika Girit Hari Radhavana Bihari Chu ki Jai. Nichi Lila Pavishnu Shtaparastatash Shri Shrimad Bhaktivedanta Naranga Swami Maharaj Shri Gurudeva ki Jai. Nichi Lila Pavishnu Shtaparastatash Shri Shrimad Bhaktivedanta Vaman Swami Maharaj ki Jai. Nichi Lila Pavishnu Shtaparastatash Shri Shrimad Bhaktivedanta Trivikram Maharaj ki Jai. Nichi Lila Pavishnu Shtaparastatash Shri Shrimad Bhaktivigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Nichi Lila Pavishnu Shtaparastatash Shri Shrimad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Nichi Lila Pavishnu Shtaparastatash Shri Shrimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. Nichi Lila Pavishnu Shtaparastatash Shri Shrimad Bhakti Rakshak Shri Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Nichi Lila Pavishnu Shtaparastatash Shri Shrimad Bhakti Dayatam Madhav Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Jagat Guru Nichi Lila Pavishnu Shtaparastatash Shri Shrimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Tagore Prabhupada ki Jai. Nichi Lila Pavishta Paramahamsa Shri Guru Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj ki Jai. Nichi Lila Pavishta Sach Chidanand Shri Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki Jai. Nichi Lila Pavishta Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki Jai. Shri Gaurivadanticharya Shri Baladevi Jabhushan Prabhu ki Jai. Shri Vishnath Chakravarti Thakur ki Jai. Shri Nadotam Srinivas Shamananda Prabhu Traya ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Das Raghunath Sadgoswami Prabhu ki Jai. Shri Swarup Damodar Roy Ramananda Shri Gaurav Shadabrinda ki Jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki Jai. Premase Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhattavrinda ki Jai. Shri Andadreep Mayapur Simantajeep Gajrimajeep Majajeep Kolajeep Richajeep Janajeep Modadrimajeep Rujadeep Atmakashi Navadeep Dham ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gop Govardhan Radashavana Makashi Braj Mandala ki Jai. Shri Shamakunda Radhakunda Jamuna Ganga Tulasi Bhakti Devi ki Jai. Shri Raj Govardhan ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudashanaji ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Puri Dhama ki Jai. Nashima Bhagavan ki Jai. Bhakti Pravashi Prahlad Maharaj ki Jai. Chari Dham ki Jai. Chari Sampradaya ki Jai. Ki Akara Mat Raj Shri Chaitanya Mat ki Jai. Shishi Keshavji Gauri Mat O Tat Sakam Mata Samuha ki Jai. Rantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Shri Harinama Sankirtana ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Brinda ki Jai. Samagata Bhatta Brinda ki Jai. Shinitai Gaura Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.
Haribol, beautiful Taruni. Thank you so much. So, welcome, brothers and sisters, God brothers and God sisters, for our 13th glorification of Srila Gurudev and Srila Rama Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada. By my calculation, that if you convert it into a 24-hour clock, we're starting at 4:30 in the morning, and we're going to 4:52 in the morning. Sorry, that's my geek side coming out. I'm so happy today. Yesterday, we're doing Nam Sankirtan in London every Saturday. We have about somewhere between 20 and 35 devotees each time. It's been so beautiful. I think the public is really appreciating it during lockdown, and the amount of mercy and grace coming to everybody, and we're all feeling it, is abundant. And I encourage anyone anywhere in the world, if you're already doing it or you haven't, or you're thinking of doing it, it's just much more blissful than you can ever imagine when you get out there. And I really feel like doing all these programs, yes, it's endeavor, but actually more than anything else, it opens up the cup in our heart of grace, where we can accept and receive more grace and more mercy from Parampara. And when we're in that state of what I call passive activity, we're sort of, or active passivity, we're actively trying to be passive in our receiving of grace. It's the most beautiful feeling. So I really appreciate and thank everybody for coming, because your Shravan, those people who are speaking, they're Kirtan, and everybody who's listening, your Shravan is facilitating everybody else's Seva. So we're all like flowers on the flower garland, or we're all Sevaks together, supporting each other's Seva. It's a very beautiful thing. So don't think that turning up each week is just a small thing. It actually, you're helping everybody else. You're serving everybody else online by just you attending. It's a beautiful, beautiful Seva. So thank you. I thank every single person for coming today. Today we have a very wonderful lineup. In fact, the time of the clock I gave correlates with some of the time zones we're linking up to, because we've got 3 continents. Our devotees are from 3 continents and 4 countries. We're starting with Sriman Sahadeva Prabhu, who's calling in from LA. He was here before 4 in the morning, which is an extraordinary effort. And then we move over to Bolivia. Navalatika from Bolivia will be talking, Srimati Navalatika. And then we move back over to London, Srimati Shamili Didi. And then we finish off back in British Columbia. Last week I got it wrong. I said Columbia. I meant British Columbia in Canada with Srimati Kamala Didi. So it's a really interesting and beautiful lineup from all over the world today. So first I'm going to introduce Sriman Sahadeva Prabhu from Los Angeles. He actually got first in touched by the devotees. He was fortunate enough to have actually been touched by Srila Prabhupada when he was on the earth in 1975. And so he has had experience of both Srila Prabhupada and Srila Gurudeva. And he came to Srila Gurudeva. He first met Srila Gurudeva in the year 2000 in San Diego. So again, thank you so much, Prabhu, for coming at before 4 in the morning and giving up your valuable bhajan time to share with us. We're very excited to hear your glorification. Hari Bol, Prabhu, over to you. And welcome. You need to unmute yourself, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for inviting me to this Vaishnava Samaj. I'm very honored to be here. Last week I had the privilege to hear from Prem Paroja Prabhu, and it was very wonderful for me. And somehow or another, through Madhuri and others, I'm snatched up, So, Om Gana Tamirandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakshu Minitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Shrimad Bhaktivedanta Narayana Mitinamane Shri Krishna Katane Sadaksha Madhaya Madhara Ganayasta Yuktam Varambarayam Purushan Mahantam Narayanam Tvam Sirasa Namami Chidandinam Bhakta Saromanam Cha Shri Krishna Padabja Titaipiridi Chaitanya Lila Ritasara Saram Narayanam Tam Satata Papaye Vandeham Shri Guru Varam Shri Rupanurupavaram Rajarasarasikam Cha Narayanam Papanam Shri Guru Charanam Vande Ramana Pastaya Bhutale Rupanuga Bhaktidam Cha Kripamurti Narayanam Ma Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvashesha Shunyavadi Paskaja Dishitarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishaya Bhakti Vedanta Namane Prashannaya Prashantaya Tasma Shri Guruve Namaha Panchakapaturubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Sivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vrindaya Tulosivaya Priya Keshavascha Krishna Bhakti Paridevi Satavachai Namo Namaha. So thank you very much for inviting me to your Mahotava. I wrote it down this morning to myself, the Bhaktivedanta Narayan Smaran Mahotava 2020 and 2021. So we're gonna all together invite Srila Gurudev here, just like we did when he was on on tour. When we first saw him coming out of the car or walking into the assembly. Swagatam Gurudev, Suswagatam Gurudev, Swagatam, Suswagatam, Sharanagatam Gurudev, Swagatam Gurudev, Suswagatam Gurudev. Swagatam, Suswagatam, Sharanagatam Gurudev. Panchakapattru Nishcha Kripa Sindhu Vevacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha. I'm very, very honored to be here and to meet so many devotees all over the world. It's really amazing because most of us have been on lockdown, and so we don't get to have that camaraderie that we normally do. Sometimes we have morning programs online, on the telephone, or we meet in the evening on conference calls like we're doing now. So this is another dimension of that, and now I can see more and more of my God brothers and God sisters all over the world. Last week, like I said, we heard from Prem Parojan, and then at the end we also saw Ashram Maharaj and so many devotees on. It was so uplifting. So taking some notes from Sri Prem Parojan's class last week, he said something that really helped me a lot. He was saying that we should never under any circumstances have the conception that Sri Gurudev is an ordinary person. He was saying basically by doing something like that, no amount of knowledge will actually manifest in the heart, he was saying. And then he was saying, Yashadevi Parabhaktir, this verse, that by worshiping and having love and devotion for Krishna and Gurudev equally, then all the imports of the Vedas can manifest in the heart. And then he quoted from the Padma Purana that actually there's a verse there he was saying that if one has just a little bit more bhakti for Gurudev, then Krishna himself will manifest himself, give his darshan. So I was thinking about that all week, how wonderful that is. That Sri Krishna, his grace, his real grace or his real mercy, it becomes condensed, and all of his mercy becomes condensed in one form, and that form is Sri Guru. So that's Krishna's grace. But then the amazing grace that comes is when we actually have darshan of Krishna's bhakti, of Sri Guru. Like this. So I was thinking of all these things last week, and now you asked me to speak something. So by coming under the anugacha of Sri Guru and hearing his Harinam and his Harikatha, and receiving, his mood, Krishna Seva Vasana in the heart, then we become transformed from, actually, like it says, Tamasima Yotyagama, from darkness to light. We are also given the opportunity to leave this world of so much agony, birth, death, and suffering, and come to the Seva, to the service of Sri Guru, the Vaisnavas, and Mahaprabhu, Radha Krishna Yugala like this. So I'm very, I was thinking of all these things, and I think that if we did not have the touch of Sri Guru, or his glance, or his merciful kirtan, then where would we be? Each person who comes to this line, it's only because Krishna has sent Srila Gurudev, any Sadguru, into our life. And by their mercy, by their merciful glance, by their merciful touch, by their merciful, even meditating on their disciples, we get nourishment. Just like in nature, a turtle might lay its eggs on the beach and then cover it with sand. And then she goes back into the ocean and she meditates on her children, those eggs, and they actually hatch and start to develop. And the same way, when fish give birth, their glance nourishes those newborn fish. And then in nature, we see that birds, they give birth to an egg and they sit on the egg and keep it warm, and then finally it hatches. So in the same way, by Gurudev's merciful glance, or all transcendental mercy comes inside the devotee's heart. If he touches us, then we receive that same transcendental, Shakti to engage in bhakti. And if he meditates on his disciples, that also gives nourishment to us. So this is the power and the mercy of Sri Guru. Once Gurudev was speaking from Brihad Bhagavatamrita, and he was saying that there was one, I think his name, what was his name? I can't remember the name now. But Gurudev was saying that, I think it was Ganashrama, by his mercy, he was able to give that disciple full tattva-gyan and full realization of his spiritual form and full realization of Krishna. That person never did any sadhana, never did anything, never fasted on the Kadashi, never chanted japa, anything like that. But just by the mercy of his Sri Gurudev, all those things, he got that qualification to come to Vrindavan. So I was thinking Gurudev also has the same thing for us. And we can see that in the short years that we heard from him, how we've been transformed. No one else could have done that for us. So I was thinking how wonderful that is that we were able to meet him and have his darshan. So Prem was speaking, he explained like 4 components of attainment of spiritual enlightenment. And I was very, very amazed to hear that. And I thought about it all week, and I'm thinking, yes, it's so true that by by hearing from Gurudev, then what happens first that we get, sambandha gyan, we get relation with this world, with Maya Tattva, Jiva Tattva, we understand these things. And then as we grow, we take initiation and we can grow in our bhakti. We hear his Gurudev's Vani. And then by self-study, we can also acquire further knowledge. And then he said, Prem said, and the third aspect of these 4 components of growing in spiritual life and enlightenment, attaining knowledge, the third component was hearing and sharing realizations with our God brothers and God sisters about Gurudev's Vani. So I was thinking, yes, Krishna is saying the same thing. He's saying, Tushtanti cha ramanti cha, that they derive great pleasure and satisfaction by discussing my glories. And in the same way, our God brothers and God sisters, by hearing their revelation of Gurudev's teachings, we can also grow in our bhakti. And if we remember from Sri Ramanuja Acharya, he came to his Gurudev just as his Gurudev was about to go into Samadhi. And it was a great a mystic transaction they had, because he had 3 fingers. And he went to his Gurudev and said, although he was in that form of, or that state of Samadhi, about to, become unmanifest to this world, he made these promises and he surrendered to his Gurudev, and his Gurudev blessed him. and all the other God brothers and God sisters, they recognize that, oh, this person has received the mercy of our Gurudev, and he's so enlightened, and Gurudev was so pleased with him and what he said, that we should make him the next Acharya. So they approached Ramanuja, after they put their Gurudev, Yamuna Acharya and Samadhi, they spoke these things. And so he said, yes, I will accept this seva. But first, I would like to serve each one of my God brothers and sisters and hear Gurudev's Vani from them. And so he served all his God brothers and sisters, learned from them Gurudev's instructions, Vani, and then later on he became Acharya. So I thought this was a very relevant thing that when Prem was discussing the third division of attaining spiritual enlightenment or knowledge was to discuss with our God brothers and God sisters. So Ramanuja is like the Praman of that. We could see like that Ramanuja Acharya, he set that example as well in his life. And then he said, and the last component of the sequence of 4 stages of developing knowledge, he said is time, so maturation. So we follow this process, and in due course of time, everything starts to manifest. We become more wise, more devoted, and we learn how to conquer the mind and senses like this. And I was thinking like Srila Vyasadeva, he compiled all the Vedas, all the Upanishads, so many wonderful scriptures, Vedantas. But although he did all that, Gurudev was telling that he felt some dissatisfaction in his heart. And he went to his Gurudev, Sri Narada, and Narada instructed him, oh yes, you talked of all these things and you showed so many different sadhanas and paths, but you have not glorified Rajalila and the glories of Radha and Krishna there. So he said, you should meditate on this and realize it. As it's described in the first canto, Bhakti Yoga Manasa, that he, by meditating on these things, and he was able to see the whole spiritual world, Raja, Radha, Krishna, everything like that. And in that understanding, he compiled the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is his maturation, or that time. Same thing. He had to have some time to realize all these things. This maturation of his spiritual realization. He spoke, or he realized the sadhya and the sadhana, and he wrote it in the Srimad Bhagavatam. This Adiras, this topmost position, Arajo Bhagavan Vajeshis Tanayata Dhamma Vrindavanam. This whole thing, he was able to share it with the world, Jamma Yasha, opening this, which is the opening invocation of Srimad Bhagavatam. So only by the mercy of Sri Guru can we attain all perfection. Narada Muni told him, yes, now you should meditate on Rajlila, and when it manifested in his heart, he wrote these things down, and that was considered Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is the process in every age with every disciple and every guru, that if we follow their instructions, these 4 stages will manifest. Prem was also saying, Yasha Devi Para Bhakti Yata Devi Tata Guru Tashanti Kahita Yata Prakashanti Mahatmana. So by worshiping Krishna and honoring Sri Guru and following his instructions, and all the imports, they manifest in the heart. He also, Gurudev was also explaining like this in one of his kirtans. Bhakti Baba Prem. This one. Tina Prakashata Shri Guru Patita Pavan Guru Charana Kamala Bhajaman. So Gurudev, with his own bhajan, his own kirtan, came out of his heart to give to us, that these 3 stages of bhakti come, and he's telling, oh, mine, worship the lotus feet of Sri Guru. So only by this method can we attain success. And our greatest good fortune is that Srila Gurudev came into our life. And when he met us, he said, oh, when I met my disciples and all the devotees, all I saw was broken hearts. So Gurudev's first thing was to embrace us out of his compassion, give us his love and mercy, and say, oh la, oh lali, everything's fine. I will help you. I will help you. He did this to each one of us. And Prem was explaining also how the Sadguru, he has the potency or the power to make each one of his disciples feel like he's the most special. Oh, my Gurudev loves me the most. And so I was meditating on all these things the last few days, and I was thinking, oh, Gurudev has given us so many things. There's one devotee, I think he came on, Mukunda Prabhu, and he always says on the conference calls that we should never think, oh, I can't speak because I don't know anything. He said that's a great offense because Gurudev put something in our patra, in our pot, and whatever we were able to capture, we should share that. So thinking of those words, I got over my whatever my fright was to come to this Samaj and speak something. So I'm very honored. And Prem also explained how Guru is not an ordinary person. And he explained how one day he was chanting his japa, and he was also from time to time reading Atika Dana Chandra Goswami, who was the disciple of Gopal Guru Goswami, on the method of, their particular method of bhajan. And Gurudev had summoned him. So once someone came to Prem's door and said Gurudev is calling. So he went there. And when he walked in, Gurudev said to him, oh, we don't follow that book. We don't read this book. We don't. And so Prem had another book in his hand to ask some questions to Gurudev. And Gurudev said, no, not this book, the other book that you were just reading. So Gurudev was showing that he's Sri Kalajna, past, present, and future is already within him. He knows everything. He knows what each one of his disciples are, what they're doing. He knew when they took birth, and he knew a method how to capture each one of us. This is the power of Sadguru. So this is our great good fortune. And I was thinking similar to what Prem went through. There were many times that similar circumstances happened to all of us. And in my own personal life, I remember in 2002, there was a Hari Katha Mahotsava in upstate New York at the, I think it was Lake George or something like that. But anyway, after that, it was like 7-day festival. And then that Sunday morning, we all drove and accompanied Srila Gurudev from upstate New York to New Jersey, because that evening he was going to go to Newark Airport and catch a flight, our international flight with Madhava Maharaj and Brajanath and the rest of his entourage. So when we got to the house, it was the house of Vishnu and his family. Vishnu now has relocated to Houston, and out of his great affection for Gurudev, he established a wonderful Gaudiya Math temple there in Houston. But before that happened, Gurudev, we all went to Vishnu's house. And when we came in, Gurudev was welcomed, and then they sat him down, and we started Guru Puja. And everyone was in line. We were all waiting to offer Pushpanjali and touch his feet. And at that time, I was very new. And from the other institution that I had been in, I felt it was kind of inappropriate, but everyone here had so much mamata and love and affection for Srila Gurudev. And they offered a Pushpanjali and they would touch his feet. And I became a little apprehensive to do that. But I finally said, if everyone else can do it, I should do it. So I also offered Pushpanjali, bowed down, took his foot dust. And after that, they escorted Srila Gurudev upstairs, and we all had breakfast and the whole thing. And then I went back outside the house in the van with Bhumipati Prabhu. Bhumipati had actually drove Srila Gurudev and his van to Vishnu's house. So I went to his van to ask him, well, what happened? You know, how was it? You know, what was your experience with Srila Gurudev? And then after that, I decided, well, we're going to wait here all in the evening. We're going to escort Gurudev to the airport. So I decided to read something and, you know, finish my rounds. And I had a book that Gurudev had, I think it was a compilation of some of his lectures, and it was called Rays of Hope. And when I opened it up to the page, I just opened it up and it opened up to a page where it says that one should not see his guru in the mood of awe and reverence. One should, you know, have mamata for Gurudev and see him as one's most dear bosom friend. And I remember reading that and I said, oh, yes, no more fear. I should just accept him in my heart as my most dear bosom friend. And as soon as I read that passage, we had the sliding door on the van and the van was open and I was reading. And as soon as I said, oh, wow, then Gurudev showed up right there on the spot. And he said, you understand a little something now? And I said, yes, Gurudev, you're my most dear bosom friend, and I should no longer have any fear. I should just have love, open love for you. And he said, yes, very good. He says, I want that you become very strong and preach my mission all over the world. Understand? And I turned to say yes, and he was gone. He wasn't there. I looked toward the front door of the house. He wasn't there. I looked in the driveway. Gurudev was not there. So it was just to show. It was a very special day for me, that show that Gurudev is not an ordinary person, and he knows all of our thoughts. He knows all of our misgivings. He knows what we're trying to do, and he's always there. He'll always show up in a dream or in some passage in a book or through the Harikatha, one of our God brothers. He'll always manifest himself in a way that we can understand him and be encouraged to go further in bhakti. So I'm not going to say more than that. I wrote about 20 pages here, but what I really wanted to express was that I'm very happy that this medium is here for all the devotees to exchange their realizations and express their love and affection and appreciation and gratitude to Srila Gurudev and all those such as yourselves around the world who are helping us remember Srila Gurudev and his teachings and his compassion and his love for us. So I'm going to stop here. And if anyone has a question, comment, or criticism, please speak up. Thank you.
Prabhu, thank you so much. That was beautiful. I've got so much from you're the first person that's done a continuation from the previous week. I think that worked that was really beautiful. And so many things brought Gurudev back to me. The idea that, the fact that he wants us to be in intimate relationship with him. I took a little while to clock on that. And I remember making a decision. I thought, no, I've got to drop this awe and reverence stuff. And I had that same experience that you did in my heart. And I just thought, forget it. I'll take some risks. And if he gives me a slap, that'll be good as well. No problem. And he always wanted people to take risks with him. That was beautiful. And you explained how he's, he really stole our hearts. I mean, Gurudev, I was saying to someone this morning, Gurudev was the most expert seducer I know in the world. He even seduced my father, who's dead now, but he was quite an egocentric agnostic. But even he never believed in God to the day he died. He was unsure. But he said to me, if I believe in God, your guru's the man, he's the man for me. He just completely melted his heart. And I also remember, he really came to heal a lot of broken hearts as well. It was very, very merciful mission. But back in '96 in particular, I remember it being all about that. And you built on what Prem said last week about the four symptoms. And I was thinking about why is it that when we share, and this is very much the centrality of this program, and you were talking about how sharing our experience of Gurudev is so important. I was thinking why, and I was thinking, well, when we share his Vani, and also we share how he inspired us, and we share how we're inspired. So that's three things. We also share
our faith.
Huh?
Our faith.
Oh yeah, I actually didn't have that down. That's another one. We share our faith, and we share the affection that he has for us, and vice versa. So that's another two. And we share the qualities we see in each other. Like when I'm listening to you, I see your qualities, though I see Gurudev's qualities in you. And we also share remembrances, so the Vapu as well as the Vani. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 8 things that happen just through sharing. It's really beautiful.
Well, that's what Krishna is saying in the chapter 10, verse 9. Machirat Magata Prana Boda Yantam Parasparam Kata Yantas Chaunanicha Tushanti Cha Pramanti Cha. The thoughts of my devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. So if Guru is the manifestation of Krishna, the same tattva is applicable.
Right. Beautiful. Beautiful, Guru. Thank you so much for your offering, your glorification. I hope you can stay for the rest of the program, but I fully understand.
I'll be here, but I won't be. I'll just listen. I'll put it on mute because I still have to care Takaji.
Thank you so much. I know 4 o'clock in the morning is not easy, so
thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So if everybody can join me on the Zoom plane from Los Angeles, we're going to go down through Mexico, and we're going to go down through all the Central American states. I think we're going to go through Peru, and we land in Bolivia to hear, I think, Didi, you're a couple of hours ahead of him, but still getting up very early at 6 o'clock offering. Srimati Navalatika, Didi from Bolivia. She first met the devotees in 2003 and took Harinam in the next year. And in 2005 took Diksha. And she translates a lot of Srila Gurudev's, I think all of Srila Gurudev's videos into Spanish. So thank you so much, both for coming online early, Didi, and also you're trying to rally some of your God brothers and sisters in Bolivia to also share on Zoom, which is wonderful. If anybody else online, by the way, so Navalatika, she spoke to me last week and said, or 2 weeks ago, said, I'd love to make an offering. And also I have some devotee friends who are also disciples of Gurudev who also want to make an offering. So if you have any of your God brothers or God sisters that you want to speak on this program, then please let your Shadari know or me know. It keeps us very enthused, actually, when people step forward. It's very exciting for us. So thank you, my dear. Over to you and welcome.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu, and thank you for the opportunity to speak something about Gurudev. And yeah, it's an honor for me to be here. And yeah, we'll start. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Iti Namine Bantakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha. First of all, I offer my pranams to my most beloved Srila Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravista Paramahamsa Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, in the same way to my Param Gurudev and the Rupanuga Guru Gaudiya Parampara, in the same way to all Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis assembled here. Please accept my pranams. Yes, thank you very much to give me this opportunity. For me, it's a time when I speak is just to purify myself and and share, of course, the glories of Srila Gurudev around the world. I mean, South America is very distant and my country is very poor too. So not many of his disciples could get to have darshan with him, although he has many disciples there. So many of his disciples took Harinam and Diksha through Skype, you know, like 2002 with Bana Maharaj. He's always coming to Bolivia. So he arranged the programs and we took Harinam and Diksha through Skype. And Srila Gurudev came twice to Brazil. The last time was for his Vyasa Puja, the last Vyasa Puja. So, and then he sent Bana Maharaj to Bolivia, Chile, Argentina, and initiate there Srila Gurudev. At that time, I was studying in university, so I couldn't pay for my ticket to India until 2008 that I arrived in India and for Navadvip Parikrama. And then I met there Srila Gurudev. I have darshan directly with him. And it was so beautiful and so wonderful. And I think we were only like 4 girls from South America, actually, 3 of us. And Srila Gurudev was staying in some village near to Navadvip. And yeah, it was nice because he was so close to us. We could ask some questions to him and he was replying to us in very loving way. And that was so beautiful. And then also at that time in 2008, we used to, then we did Navadvip Parikrama and then we went back to Vrindavan. So in 2008, we had one ladies ashram in Gopinath Bhavan that year. And we were under guidance of Srimati Shamarani Didi or Srimati Vrindavan Vilasini Didi. And we were like 8-10 girls there. And it was so beautiful because also when Srila Gurudev came back from touring, I mean outside India, we could make so many services like clean the floor, preparing Gurudev's room, and collecting the milk and sabji or vegetables, and you know, for the meals of Srila Gurudev. And it was very nice. And we were waiting for him that Kartik. And then so many people also came. It was very crowded at that time. And I was expecting, you know, like, of course, to have the same time and the same darshan that I had in Navadvip. But it was so crowded that I could even reach Gurudev. You know, I was trying to bow down and touch his feet, but it was so crowded that everybody was pushing you. You know, you have to fight to get to him. And then I got frustrated because I couldn't do that. And I was like, oh my God, I was staying behind the line and behind many devotees. And he was asking some devotees, how are you? And I was waiting, you know, for him to ask me the same question. And he passed all the time. He was passed by me. And then I was like heartbroken, you know. And I said, why Gurudev is not asking me how I am? You know, like, why he's not paying attention to me? And finally, because of my elder sister, my senior god sister, Vrindavan Vilasini, told me, okay, let's go and have darshan of Gurudev. And then you ask him anything you want, because I'm seeing you so sad. So let's go. And we went. And at that time we could get in Gurudev's room. And yeah, I was amazed because I completely forgot who were there. And I just walked in Gurudev's room and he was like sitting on his bed, like reading something, one paper, and nobody was there. Even Mother Maharaj wasn't there. And I said, oh my God. And then I bowed down to Srila Gurudev and I said, oh, Gurudev. And he said, and he was not looking at me. He said, oh, Gurudev, you know, I came here and why you are ignoring me? I feel so sad. I told like this to Gurudev, and Gurudev started to laugh so loudly, and I said, "Oh my God, no!" And now Mad Maharaj will come in, and then he would kick me out of his room. And Gurudev, then after that, he looked at me and said, "Why you cares this external thing?" And I said, "Oh, Gurudev, because, and then he said, this is very external. How can I remember to ask everyone how they are? This is so external. You have to be focused in the internal relationship." And I didn't understand, and I'm still trying to understand that. And then he said, "Okay, but next time I will ask you, how are you? I will ask you for sure." And I'm kind of like waiting for that. And yeah, that was very nice, because that teaching for me was, okay, so I have to develop my internal relationship, as much as I can in this life. And yeah, so I remember there is one verse that we were studying last time with also with Prayojan Prabhu. This verse remember me so much about Gurudev. This is one poet, Rasikutang, I think. It says, "Viduta Vishayale Sham Apravati Pravishana Pi Vishaya Vishesha Shakti Tatopadayashan Vivavi Padava Shadam Hridayo Gupta Mukta Para Prama Madat Vishashadam Stirta Padam Namami." I bow down to the lotus feet of Srila Gurudev, who is Tirtha. His lotus feet are Tirtha, the holy places, and everyone who bows down to his lotus feet, everyone gets purified. So yeah, to touch Gurudev's feet was that, you could feel that effect on you, that was purifying you. And when you look also to Srila Gurudev, he was like, Viduta Vishaya, this says this verse, is like, he was not attached of any material thing on this world. The only concern him was bhakti, and to teach you bhakti, this siddhanta, this tattva, no? And also, he was not Bhavavi Padadi, says this verse, and it's like he was not touched by any lamentation or sorrows of this material world, but still in his heart, he was feeling so much separation relating to Radha Krishna pastimes. He could keep this mood, this burning separation of the spiritual world. But anyone who approached him, he was ready and he was willing to teach this tattva, Maya tattva, Krishna tattva, Jiva tattva, every time, any time. So that was so wonderful, and also because these special moments, or maybe short moments with the association of the sadhu, gives you very visheshamskaras, I mean, so deep impressions on you in your heart, that makes you to do service, like you desire to serve more Gurudev, you desire to serve more Krishna and give everything that you have for their service, especially to Gurudev, that this is a person who is very near to you, no? Srila Gurudev used to say, I'm more closer than the air you breathe. So I felt that in Srila Gurudev, that these short darshans that I could have, it was so changing and make this impression that maybe at that time, I was not aware. I was like, yes, Gurudev, but I wanted all the external things, that Gurudev remember me, Gurudev asking me, Gurudev, just like be important in some way, to him. but actually it should be the opposite, you know, like he should be important to me, and because he is giving me the most valuable treasure, that is bhakti, because bhakti comes and descends through bhakta. And in one lecture of Srila Gurudev, I think in 1998, he says, because bhakti can descend through the bhakta, but this will happen when you melted the heart of Bhagavan, Gurudev, and Bhakti Devi. So how can I melt the heart of Gurudev? Just doing my doing service, yes, to him, and also doing the sadhana. Sadhana is very important because you are preparing yourself to receive this Bhakti Devi, this Swarup Shakti that comes from the spiritual world. So to do sadhana in that mood, you know, like Srila Gurudev used to say, do or die too. So you must do with the sadhana, because sometimes myself, I'm very lazy to do sadhana, to wake up early, you know, like just or do puja to my Thakurs. It's kind of, you know, I have to endeavor myself really to do that. But when I think that it's only in this way that the mercy can, you know, descend to me, so I have to again try and endeavor myself, because then Srila Gurudev, his heart will be melted and he will give this mercy to advance in the spiritual life. Actually, that is Shraddha, right? The Shraddha says, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, I think in his Amnaya Sutra says, Shraddhatu anyopayam varjam bhakti unmukhi chitta vritti visheshaha. What it says, that we have this faith that only doing the bhakti unmukhi, not other thing like karma or jnana, will change our chitta-vrittis, I mean our heart, our mind, and this symptom will be Krishna Seva Vasana. We will have the service, the desire to serve. So Srila Gurudev was really merciful. Of course, his glories are unlimited, and many of here down in South America, we don't speak English. So also in Bolivia, devotees from Bolivia are very shy. We don't speak English, and besides that, we are shy. So maybe I will try to encourage my god brothers, because I have my god sisters too. And they felt Gurudev so much here, because every time we gather together and we just glorify Gurudev and how he is so kind to us. And even they didn't meet Gurudev personally, they manifest in his dreams, or like Sahadeva Prabhu said, in any reading on any god sister, any god brother. So yeah, Gurudev changed life here. It was magic for us, and to see him is like so powerful, you know. But this empowerment develops through the years, because maybe we think, well, this is happening in my life. At that time, I didn't know anything, I didn't realize anything. But now it's kind of, okay, I will take risk with, you know, with him. I will try to speak something. I need to purify myself. I need to help. I need to serve in some way, because if I stay like very shy and very behind, I mean, it's like, we have here one phrase that says, if the baby doesn't cry, doesn't get milk, you know. Entonces we need, you know, I need to cry, and I need to beg, and I need to just to have the mercy. So thank you very much. I will end here for this opportunity. It's so wonderful for me to meet my senior god brothers, senior god sisters, and please give me some mercy, and then I can get some advancement in my spiritual life. Radhe Shyam, Hare Krishna.
Jai Navalatika, beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhu.
I really felt the warmth of your sharing, and there was one thing that you mentioned. Oh, by the way, you brought up Vrindavan Vilasini. She's totally like one of my favorite. She's my next door neighbor in Vrindavan, although I live in London. I have a place in Vrindavan where Kamala has it and does all her seva. Next door is Vrindavan Vilasini. She is adorable. When I first met the devotees, I remember being on the coaches, on the parikram, and I remember thinking, just being a little bit uncomfortable with, devotees can be quite eccentric sometimes. Now I don't feel that at all. Of course, I'm probably an eccentric devotee, but in '96 it took some adjusting. I remember how Vrindavan Vilasini just came across, although she's actually very, very evolved and very firm in her faith, she comes across so normal and very charming, a lot of fun. And she'd often walk on the balcony of Gopinath Bhavan, and she'd see me in there, and you could tell she's just like wanting a little chat, and she's very friendly. So you did well to get her association. And for her to bring you into Gurudev was really important.
Actually, Gurudev told me you have to ask her everything for your doing here in Vrindavan, and say yes, because she's so wonderful.
She is wonderful, absolutely wonderful. In fact, I'm trying to get her on to share with Vajanti Mala, but it's takes a few goes to get the net on them. They keep on getting away, but they know it's a thankless task. They're gonna get caught in the end, but it takes a while. I loved what you were saying about how, I want to add something to how Gurudev was very detached, and he was one-pointed, obviously, with his bhakti, but at the same time he came to the Madhyam plane and dealt with us at an emotional level, and you could see that he displayed very human emotions in terms of his interactions, and yet we knew he was also very detached. It was quite an incredible complexity of feelings. He was very beautiful in all his dealings, absolutely amazing. And you were talking about the impressions that he gave us in our darshans, and I find that those impressions, they're like seeds, and they grow over time and they evolve. It's almost like it goes in as a seed and it comes out, it gets bigger and bigger over time, those impressions.
Yes, right. Yes.
So thank you for your beautiful sharing, and please rally rally your brothers and sisters in Bolivia. Let's do some more zooming over there.
Yes, Prabhu, sure.
So some people are shy, and but the thing is, when people are shy, just tell them, listen, it's like, don't worry, because Gurudev will always give you the mercy. Nothing can ever go wrong. And also the audience is so merciful. Like, no one's sitting here going, oh, I hope they mess up. Everyone's looking, everyone's looking for the qualities. So you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Best audience ever.
Oh, great. Yeah, this is amazing because it's very harmonious and brings all the devotees together, because now I'm seeing that many devotees are very scattered in so many places and doing their own things, but it should be like one thing, supportive thing to get all the disciples. I mean, all the disciples around the world from Gurudev. That's amazing.
And also there's a program now going on in India, same kind of thing from this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's really great.
Okay,
so,
great.
We're now going to zoom over from Bolivia, over South America, across the Atlantic, and back up to what we call Blighty, back to United Kingdom, London. And I'm very happy to welcome Srimati Shamili Didi, who is a very dear and close friend of mine in London. I have to be careful with people I know too well, because I might really embarrass her. But she is a dear friend, beautiful devotee. Comes out on Sankirtan every week. I've read many books with her. She's a great reading partner. What I love about Shamili in particular is she just says it in a very simple, straightforward way. There's no devotional pretense about her at all. She's got no idea what a great devotee she is. She thinks she's much less than she is, but she's actually much more than she thinks she is. And she was actually a very cute little 5-year-old when her mother came to Bhakti Yoga, and she took initiation from Srila Gurudev in 2010. So I'm very excited to hear her sharing. So I will now be quiet and listen to my beautiful god sister Srimati Shamili Didi from London. Hari Bol, my dear. Welcome.
Shamili Didi, you're on mute, so you're gonna have to unmute yourself.
Here we go. All right. All right. Radhe, thank you for having me. I'm a bit nervous. You can hear me, yes? Yeah? Okay. Yes, even though I came to Krishna consciousness at a very young age, it's only just about sinking in now. So it's taken a long time. Anyway. Om Jnana Tirumandasyana Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksu Unmilitam Yena Tasme Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Namo Padaya Radhika Pritmane Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Marajiti Namine. Thank you to the assembled devotees and the Vaisnavas and allowing me to speak something, even though I feel very unqualified and I don't have too much, didn't have too much interaction with Gurudev, but I did partake in that wonderful energy wherever he was. I came to, when we were little, my mum went to Bhaktivedanta Manor temple, and we weren't really believing in God at that time because she was born Jain. And I remember the first thing I remember, and the thing that I've always carried with me, and it was from Sunday school when they were talking about Krishna, and they said, you know, Krishna can be your mother, your father, your friend. And I just thought, I remember saying that, I said, he can be my friend. This little blue boy could be my friend. And that was the most important thing that took me all the way to now, because I actually saw Krishna as my friend. When I went home, I got a little cutout of Krishna, I got a cornflakes box, I made a little altar, I put him in it, and I used to talk to him as that. And then my mum saw that and she went, oh my God, we need to put an altar in. So we did put an altar in, and we got a little Laddu Gopal, and we used to go to the temple regular every Sunday, and it was beautiful. And though I'm not one for remembering any slokas or all my kind of understanding of Krishna consciousness came from the Bhaktivedanta Manor plays. They were on every week. I can tell you all about liquid beauty, love, lust, anger, greed, these plays that were just on and they sunk in. So, and even the Srimad Bhagavatam, when my mum got the Srimad Bhagavatam, it was like our association was, it was looking at the pictures. We just learned so much about the world through the pictures in the Srimad Bhagavatam. It was brilliant. And so for me, it always made sense, because it was like, I remember my sister when we were little. Remember when you were little, they would always have that thing, sticks and stones break my bones, but words can never harm me. Well, my little sister, because she went and lived in the temple afterwards, and she was very devout years ago, she used to always say, well, I don't care because I'm not this body. And so we always grew up knowing that we weren't this body, that Krishna was God, and it was a beautiful space. But however, I do think I'm a very slow burner. Like, I think, like the log, like they say, if Guru is the spark, the fire, and he has the potential to ignite the log, and depending on how wet or damp that log is how fast that, meaning like the anatas would catch fire. I was never one of them ones that caught fire very quick. Like, I think I'm beginning to catch fire now, like 50 years later, a little bit. But I was definitely a wet log for a very long time, shall we say. And so we grew up and moved away from that temple, got into family life and everything, and then met through the Gangas. No, actually through my mum, who was on about Gurudev. And it was that time that when he came to Aberystwyth. And unfortunately for me, still being so covered, pregnant with my third child, in dilemmas of all material existence, she's like, come to Aberystwyth, you've got to meet Gurudev. Now, my question was never whether he's the real deal or not. I knew Srila Gurudev was the real deal. I just knew because he was following Prabhupada. I didn't have to ask that question. But whether I was worthy of Gurudev, that was the question. So I wasn't really happy to meet him because I felt so contaminated on so many levels. And I did meet him, and I remember him sitting there, and it was a one-on-one darshan, just me and my mum. He was talking to my mum in Hindi, and I was just like, oh God, you know, I was just so depressed with life anyway. And mum was telling him, oh, she's pregnant, she's not getting along with her husband. And I'm like, anyway, I was like, what do I do? I did my obeisances. He was sitting in his chair, and he had his, you know, like how he has his arm hanging over the chair like that. So what I did was like, okay, what do I do? So I sort of was near him. I sort of crawled under his hand. So his head, he had to put his hand on my head. And I went, okay. I weren't sure what to do, but that's what I ended up doing anyway. So that was my first interaction with Gurudev. And then my first real experience of understanding devotees and love and everything. And this was in an energetic form of going to the Vaishnava festivals in Europe. They all said come to India, but I didn't feel ready for India. I had 2 other little kids and Krishna was born then. And I started going to the Vaishnava festivals, I think when Kush was 3. No, he might have been about 2. And they were just like, they were phenomenal. They were like love festivals. I'd never felt so much love and comradeship between people in my whole entire life. And I'd go back just full of enthusiasm and wanting to change. But obviously, get back, you do it for a couple of weeks and you've got no association and fall back off the horse and you get swallowed back up into the material world. And that was pretty much my life, for like looking forward every year, going to the Vaishnava festivals and loving it and getting something back. And it wasn't just Gurudev, there was this, I remember going there and you would come with feeling grubby because I just felt grubby. I felt grubby and I felt really grubby and seeing all these lovely Vaishnavas, but then you would sort of bond with a few devotees and slowly their vulnerability and their stories would come out and you would share yours and you realize, God, we all got the same stuff going on, you know? And there was so much love and so much non-judgment there and so much energy that Gurudev had put into this. It was like another world. For me, it was like another world. And also, my material side loved the venues, the beaches, the accommodation, the prasad. I mean, Gurudev catered for every single thing, every single time, for people like me that are really kind of, you know, they sort of sideline between bhakti and bhukti, you know. Anyway, so that was that. And then there's one lovely story. So you know how they say like Gurudev, he has the saffron particles, they kind of come from his eyes and his voice when he takes his glance, there's these saffron particles coming from like the spiritual world. And I remember Nakunja saying to me, we need to sit down the front. And I was like, what? Why? This is like 5 years in. I don't really want Gurudev to see me. And so she says, no, you get the saffron particles and things happen, things change. And I went, okay. So after that, I did sit down the front. And that year, you know, there was always conscious shifts when you come back from the festivals or when you're in Gurudev's presence or when you're around, you know, great devotees. But that year was fundamentally lots of big shifts happening there. So that was the first taste of like, wow, it is true. The first taste was the energy from the Vaishnava festivals that Gurudev created, this pure love that we should be in. The second taste was these saffron particles of like that, you don't know how, but you just become more conscious on so many levels. That was the second one. So then Gurudev festivals. Yeah, so then I used to sit down the front for the next few years and really want to change and try. And I hadn't taken initiation. And I remember on 2009, I wasn't chanting 16 rounds, maybe between 4 and 8 a day. And I was still dabbling in material. I still am dabbling in material world, but probably more more down the crooked path. Then in 2009, I remember wanting, I need to get initiation because, you know, how long's Gurudev going to be here? And I remember seeing Vaishnava Maharaj. He said to me, you can't have initiation till you're doing 16 rounds a day. So it was 6 months before I was going to get to India. And I thought, right, I need to start chanting 16 rounds. So for me, that was a big marker as well, because predominantly I've always done 16 rounds from then. There was a bit of yo-yo here and there, but and that was another energy shift. And especially after I took initiation, I noticed that a big in energy shift in that. A funny story about my son, who's always been literally grew up around the Ganga matters and going to the Vaishnava festivals from when I was pregnant. I met Gurudev, and he would always run around. He'd just go off, and I would always be out there going to be, Krishna, where are you? Krishna, where are you? Every year. And it was a running joke because people would go, yeah, we're looking for Krishna too. Where's Krishna? As in Krishna. But so he was 8 this year, and it was in Italy, and Gurudev had just done his, before he was about to leave, and the buses were coming. So he'd done his goodbyes and wishing us all well, darshan at 10 o'clock, and then Gush had disappeared again, as he always does. And I'm like, God, we have to get on the buses. Where is he? So there was these bottles of water that they were supposed to have given out to the devotees, but they hadn't. And so him and I think it was Thomas, this other little boy, they were going around selling it for €1 each, these bottles of waters to the devotees. And then he decided he was going to give this big bottle of water to Gurudev. So I don't know where he's gone, right? Gurudev's left and we're all going to our buses. And I'm like, where's Krishna gone? We got to get the bus. And he's gone up to Gurudev's little apartment and he's hanging outside with this bottle of water. And then is Brajanath or Madam Maharaj calls him in. Between Brajanath or Madam Maharaj, they call him in. And Gurudev has said, has he got neck beads? And they go, no. So then Gurudev put the neck beads on him, which was beautiful. And then they said, he'd given the bottle of water to Gurudev. And I go, you didn't charge him? He goes, no, Mum, I didn't charge him. And then he goes, well, they said, do you want to wash Gurudev's feet? And he goes, okay. And he forgot this memory. And I'll tell you what happened. So he did. He washed Gurudev's feet with this bottle of water, which I thought was beautiful. And I only found that the other day because he told me that, but I'd forgotten about that. But what happened is when the Gangamats had got this Gurudev Murti there last month, or beginning of Kartik, and we'd gone up there and we'd all had profound experiences with Gurudev. Well, Krishna had so many memories come back, and that was one of his memories. So I thought that was a beautiful memory of his, and I thought I just wanted to share it because I know he won't, because he's super embarrassed about saying anything. So just to bring it home now, after much yo-yoing, I think in this last, and really it has started from Gurudev's Murti being at the Ganga mats, that there's been a massive shift in my heart and in my consciousness, and wanting to stop using my weaknesses as a crux to hang on to. And it's all brought about by this lockdown and not having nowhere to run to get to find. There's Zoom, which is beautiful, but I'm very much a people person, and not having like the Ganga matters or the sannyasis coming through to get that spiritual food that I kind of relied on, besides our groups, which are beautiful, but were even more beautiful when they were in person. It's been hard. And the one thing I had to look at was that, Shep, you have to do this. You have to do this. You have to want to change and do this. You can't just keep running to get spiritual food, coming back and then bouncing with your bad behavior here and there. And so that was the first realization, that I have to, obviously I've been changing over the years, but to really embrace it and want to move forward faster and understand the deep self more. So when Gurudev's Murti came, and it was very beautiful, it shifted a lot of things. And this whole thing that Yasoda's on about, grace, is something that I'm witnessing now, because in the last couple of weeks, I've tried not to be the controller, even with my own sadhana. And it's such a subtle level of bouncing back and forwards, of letting go. And yeah, so this grace and this self-forgiveness, and putting that at Gurudev's feet. And what I've been doing the last week has been saying the serenity prayer. You know, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I'm finding putting that prayer at Gurudev's feet really helping me. And I'm quite excited. And I wouldn't have come here today to speak because I really felt so trapped in so much guilt of not being a good devotee and not being this or that, that I feel that's lifting, because I'm leaving that, I'm putting that somewhere, and I'm really praying to Gurudev. So I hope that continues. Yeah, thank you. Vanchakalpa Turabhija, Kripa Sindhabhyavcha, Bhajanam Pavanabho Vaishnavyo, Namo Namaha.
Haribol Shamili, thank you so much. That was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And as I said to everybody before you started, you speak in a very straightforward, very honest way, and you always engage people because of that honesty. And what you said about the Murti is so true. The Murti in Skegness is Ganga's Murti. Well, it's the original Murti of Gurudev's Samadhi. It's super powerful. You sit in front of that Murti, and you know, it's kind of like he's merciful, and he's affectionate, and he's also very grave. He's very heavy in that Murti. Yeah? It's like really.
There's definitely some potency. We have to get back up there. And
very, very intense. Yeah, very beautiful.
One quick thing, Yasoda, I've seen my son change so much. And when he was little and I used to start going to the Ganga mats, I didn't always feel like going. And I would always say to him, it was only like 3 or 4, I said, shall we go to the Gangas? And if he said yes, and which was most of the time, I'd go. So he's sort of my inspiration to want to you know, like I always try and do it for him, because I can find excuses in myself not to change. So it's a beautiful thing watching him change. It makes me change as well.
Well, one of the things I wanted to share with everybody is if they want to see Gurudev's qualities in you, they only have to look at your son, because he's testament to your qualities. He's beautiful. Krishna is. You sometimes switch between Kush and Krishna, by the way, everybody. It's the same person. He's absolutely beautiful, very soft, very wonderful boy, and absolute credit to you. And one thing I just wanted to say about grace, because you mentioned about grace, and you said I'd also mention it, is that just in the same way as the world is moving from fossil fuels to alternative energy, so we as devotees are moving from the basing our lives on the power of will to the power of grace. And it's a very subtle distinction, but it's almost like a tatashta shift second by second. Am I operating from will right now, or am I operating from grace? And you can feel the difference, because grace is kind of karma free, whereas will is full of karma. You can almost feel just in the same way airplanes in the sky leave a blaze, leave a trail. So you do when you operate your life through will. So two people can externally be manifesting the same thing, but the person who's coming from grace rather than will, there's no energy puff smoke of the blaze of the airplane left behind. It's kind of seamless. And when you look at Gurudev's life and how he operated, it reminds me of when I was on a walk with him in Malaysia, and I looked at his feet, and I literally felt, I wasn't quite sure if either of his feet were touching the ground. He just glided so effortlessly, totally like a swan. And that's what he's asking us to be, is have the faith to be fueled by grace, and no need to rely upon your own will, which is kind of where you got to in your sharing, Shamili.
Yeah, and I think just quickly, that's because I think of Harinam as well. I think that has really shifted so much these last 5, 6, and watching it from the beginning develop from 7 people to like 30 people and this amazing energy. And it's like making me go, I want to be a part of this. I want to make the change. I want people to change. And I'm really excited. So thank you to that. And the boys, the North London boys, I think they're phenomenal. And
Amazing.
And just one very quick thing, because I have to go myself, but the other realization I had is that I've always tried to fit service into my life. And now I want to fit my life into service. And that, again, is like a shift, and it's just flipping the switch.
Beautiful. Jai.
Okay, thank you.
That's awesome, Shamili. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Haribo. So we now come on to our fourth and unfortunately final speaker, because it's felt like 5 minutes today. We're flying back over the Atlantic, going over Canada, through the different states of Canada to the west side to British Columbia, which is actually one of the best places to live in the world if you're not living in Bruges itself. It's a beautiful part of the world. And we're going to hear from Srimati Kamala Didi, whose parents came to Srila Prabhupada and who first met Gurudeva in 2001 and took initiation from him in 2008, and is, I believe, a social media well, I don't want to embarrass you. I'm going to call you a social media expert, even if you don't think you are. I was looking at your wall last time when you were on here. I looked at your wall and you look very organized, Didi. So welcome. It's very early there, like Sahadeva. Kamala's gotten up very early at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. So thank you and welcome, and we're very excited to hear your sharing this morning. Haribo.
Haribo. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I am not qualified by any means to speak any glories of our dear Srila Gurudev, but I will try my best. Om Gyanatmanandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayani Namine. Offer my heart thousands and thousands of times into the lotus feet of my Srila Gurudev and Shri Guru Parampara, and I offer my Dandavat Pranams unto all of you wonderful devotees. So I am not very learned by any means, but I met my Srila Gurudev in 2001. Me and my family were living in Sharanagati at the time, and there were some devotees who contacted my mom, and there was Sri Lokanath and Mahoj, and they had a huge school bus. So there were a group of us. I was really young. I was probably like, I don't know, 9 or 10. I can't even remember. I have the world's poorest memory. And we all got onto this bus and we drove all the way down to the coast. It was like 8 or 9 or 10 hours. And we were all like really excited to go meet this wonderful person. And I don't really remember too much, but I saw this one picture someone took. And when I first saw Srila Gurudev, like my face was just so like mesmerized and my eyes were like almost popping out of my head. Like I was just so like overtaken with joy at seeing this pure devotee. And I really remember really loving the kirtans, but you know, as a young kid, you really want to just hang out with your friends and, you know, just kind of be outside of that. So I don't know if it's good to have regrets, but I feel that for all of the times where I had the opportunity to be with Srila Gurudev, I was too young to fully understand how special he actually was. And I always, me and my family, on occasion, we would go down to California to the Badger festivals. And for me, that was a very, very special time because growing up, and it didn't have too much association. And even now, I'm just kind of by myself in this small little town in British Columbia, not so much association, really struggling. But looking back on the Badger festivals, I remember this one year, Srila Gurudev was supposed to be coming, and someone was like, oh, he's gonna arrive at this one entrance, so everyone go down there, start Kirtan, and wait for Srila Gurudev. And so I was one of those kids who had my camera, and I was always trying to get pictures of Srila Gurudev, and that was like one of my main focuses. And so I was waiting, and then someone's like, no, he's going on the other side. So I remember the feeling of just running, just booking it barefoot across the dirt and the rocks and the grass to see Srila Gurudev on the other side, and always wanting him to like look at me or something. I never had that experience of him looking directly at me, but I always wanted that. Be like, oh, I want him to notice me, but like Didi was saying previous, that's just an external, it's internal that matters. And then a few times Srila Gurudev came to Vancouver. I was young again, and this memory is just coming back. We were doing Tulsi Purikram in this one Sikh temple that he was giving class on. And I remember asking my mom if it would be okay to go and rush over and touch Srila Gurudev's feet. And I think I did. I think I just like ran across the room, quickly like touched his feet and ran back and was super embarrassed. But yeah, my memories of Srila Gurudev were always wanting to just be there and have his mercy. And I think that was kind of what I remember, but I was really unfortunate in terms of just wanting to, be with friends. And then I think the last Badger Festival, I had more of a mood of I want to serve the devotees. I want to be a little bit more involved in Seva rather than, all of the mundane things. So that for me, unfortunately, came a little too late. That I personally feel like I almost wish I could have realized how important he was earlier on. But I don't have too many memories, and just hearing all of the devotees' wonderful experiences has really touched my heart. Thank you. I don't know if I could speak anymore.
Take your time, my
Thank
dear.
you.
Take your time. Oh, bless you. Oh. I was gonna say, when Kamala, take your time. I'll just say a couple of words, and maybe you can come back if you feel like it. But if you don't, we understand. I was gonna say, those people, I noticed it in quite a few people who either come to Gurudev late, or even come to Gurudev after he disappeared, or didn't get that much interaction with Gurudev. There's a yearning, a depth, and intensity in these devotees' feeling for Gurudev. I mean, it's astonishing, actually. And Kamala is showing us how that experience can really intensify your feelings for Srila Gurudev. I suppose it's separation, essentially, what you're crying for.
Yeah.
Yeah, we understand.
Yeah.
I
really
wish I could cry like you.
yeah, I've always just kind of prayed. I've been praying more just to have, some love, because I feel like my heart is like a lava rock, I feel like I'm like how you're saying, I work in social media, I have a job, I'm so absorbed in the material energy that I really struggle in my spiritual life. And I just really want to pray to my Srila Gurudev and to the Vaishnavas that my lava-like heart can melt, that one day I can, really try and progress on a spiritual path, because I'm not doing anything, and it's really, really hard. And whenever I think of Srila Gurudev and his mercy and how he's given us this opportunity in this lifetime, I feel so fortunate, but also I am so lost, because I don't want to cause him any pain. And I feel like not doing anything is causing him pain. And I don't want that, and I don't have the strength. I'm so sorry.
We understand. I can feel like lots of the devotees hearing you are praying for you, Didi, that you get engaged in Seva and you can feel connected. But you, just to be able to cry like that shows that you're already partly melted, I can tell you. So don't give up. Gurudev would always say, don't be hopeless. Don't be hopeless. You're not hopeless. And we've got a chat. We're talking on the 28th to try and connect you with some reading groups, right?
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah, there are lots of reading groups on here, and there's so many. I mean, it's not in any way monitored centrally, but there are so many reading groups, set up between one and some of them only have 2 people, some of them have 20 people. They're all over the place. So we'll make sure you get engaged, my dear.
Yeah, and I just, go ahead.
Sorry, Yashoda, can I just say something to Kamala? Kamala, one of the first times that I saw Gurudev in England, he gave a class in Birmingham, and for some reason he was really cross in that class, and he was saying things to us that we weren't behaving like sons and daughters, and we were actually used the word prostitutes, that we were behaving like that. And I had a darshan just after that with him, and I was really affected by what he had said. And I said to him that I felt really bad that he felt that way, that he was traveling across the world to see us, and that he felt that this is how we were behaving. And I said to him, I want you to feel proud of me as your daughter. I want to please you. I don't want you to feel like this. And he laughed and he said, and I knew that this was also not just an instruction for me, but this was an instruction for many. But he said, if you always think like this, I will be pleased. And he smiled, and I knew that's our first baby step. Just to even think like you are and feel like you are is so pleasing to him. And he will, like Krishna says in the Gita, he will carry what we lack. He is our Krishna. He will preserve what you have, and he will carry what you lack. And he confirmed that. So, and I know that wasn't just a message for me. I know that was a message for his daughters. That was a message for his sons. That was a message for you too.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel very fortunate that Gurudev has given me such a large family. Even though we might be, so far away. A beautiful, beautiful family. Thank you.
Thank you, Kamala. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Very beautiful.
I don't think I can speak anymore, but
no, it's fine. I think there are quite a few tears going on around the world right now. So I think you almost I was close to being set off. So if I'm almost crying, I can't imagine what other people are doing. So
thank you. Vaishnaveyo Namo Namah Shri Gurudev Ki Jai.
So Hare Krishna, we come to the end of our another beautiful glorification. Thank you so much to Sriman Sahadeva Prabhu and Navalatika from Bolivia, and thank you so much to Shamili from London and Kamala from British Columbia. Very beautiful. It's hard to get the words fluent now because Kamala's rocked my heart for sure. And yeah, you just, when somebody is so intensely feeling for Srila Gurudev, whatever it is, it's like, it's visceral. Like when her heart is connected to Gurudev, we can't fail but to be connected. It's quite it's like thunder in your heart. It's amazing. Kamala, thank you for sharing like that. That was certainly not forecast, and very surprising and very beautiful, very heart-rendering. So we come to the end of our 13th beautiful glorification. This is the last one of this calendar year. So the next one will be in the actual calendar year of Gurudev's centennial appearance, and it'll be at the normal time of midday UK time. Thank you again. I'm going to say everybody who's come today, you know, even all those who have not said anything, please know that your service, your Shravan, is facilitating everybody else's Shravan and Kirtan. If you weren't attending, this wouldn't be happening. Gurudev wouldn't be glorified, Gurudev wouldn't be pleased, and we wouldn't be able to all serve Gurudev. So we are all helping each other serve Gurudev. You might just think all you're doing is turning on the Zoom and it's not a big deal. It is a big deal, and I really honor that. I honor your time. Thank you so much for doing that. Yashadari, would you like to say something before Radhika finishes with some kirtan?
Yeah. Can you hear me okay? Yeah.
Yes, perfect.
Perfect. I just want to say firstly, thank you so much for bringing me closer to Srila Gurudev this week again. Every week I'm finding that Gurudev has dropped these little gems in all of his devotees and his disciples that are now being unraveled. Just like when Giriraj was being lifted, it wasn't just soil that was there. There were so many jewels from so many and it was shining like it was, you know, it was like beautiful scene that people forgot what was happening outside. And I think that this is like that with all the disciples of Srila Gurudev, that they're so beautiful and outshining that we forget what's happening in our material life. And I certainly do. And Kamala Didi, I just wanted to say one thing, that Srila Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj said one thing in a letter to one of his disciples. And he said something like, I'm just paraphrasing because I cannot, I'll try and find the article. But he said that for every tear or every cry that is made, that Sri Guru is listening to that. Whether that, when you're crying alone, don't think that you're just crying alone. Actually, Sri Guru is listening to you. So your cry or your tears is not just being done without anyone listening. Srila Gurudev is listening to you, and he'll always listen to you because he's our father. So I just wanted to say that, and I just hope that many more disciples of Srila Gurudev, Srila Vam Maharaj, and Srila Prabhupada come forward and say some more things so that we can continue these memory festivals and keep the fire that is burning to meet in separation with Srila Gurudev again manifests and keeps manifesting until we reach a peak where we can't stand to be anywhere else but at Srila Gurudev's lotus feet. So thank you again from my side, and please forgive me for any offenses that I've caused along the way, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. And yeah, Hari 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 Bol. I think that was it. Dandavat pranams, everybody. Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Vama Maharaj ji ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samakta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Radhika Didi, where are you?
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jai Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Guru Parampara, 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 Nitai Gaura, Haribal, 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 Gaura, Haribal, Nitai Gaura, Haribal, 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 Gaura, Haribal, Nitai Gaura, Premanande, Hari Haribal. Shri Gurudev ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Vamanga Swami Maharaj ki jai, Guru Parampara ki jai, Rupanuga Guru Varga ki jai, Nitai Go, Premanande, Hari Hariva.